Welcome back, my friends. Now, before the break, I was talking about some of the many perils that we're facing. And folks, look, I've been concentrating on Australia quite a bit for this show because there are some serious things going on here. And I still believe that Australia itself presents a huge opportunity to the world if the people of Australia can see the opportunity that they have before them. And that's why I felt it was important that Australia have a voice, and it's why I have put so much effort in attempting to wake up the people of Australia. And this is because Australia only has a population of 22 million people. Australia has less people than Greater New York. And so therefore, statistically speaking, it would be easier to wake up the entire country of Australia than it would be to wake up one city in the United States. And the beauty of that is that if we can wake up the people of Australia, we've woken up an entire country. And if an entire country rather than one city makes a statement on the global stage, then it will send a shockwave around the world that may indeed wake up the rest of the world. And when the people of Australia are being presented with the opportunities for change that they're now being presented with, and when the corruption of the Australian government and the Australian police force and the entire Australian system is being laid so bare right in front of their eyes, I believe the Australian people need to seize this opportunity to reinstate the Constitution in this country and to hold those criminals that have committed these acts within our government accountable for their actions. And folks, I don't like to keep harping on a topic, but we really have to make some noise about CHAPELLE CORBY. I want everybody out there who is able to do so to download a copy of Expendable from expendable.tv, or if you have Firefox browser, install a plugin called Download Helper and use that to download the film Expendable from YouTube, and you can download it as an MP4, will be the easiest thing. And then use a DVD burning program such as Nero to convert it to a DVD, and send DVDs to all the police stations in your area, send DVDs to any lawyers that you know. If you know of any Queen's Counsels or you know the addresses of any Queen's Counsels in Australia, send them a DVD. Send a DVD to the office of the Prime Minister of Australia and ask her straight out if she intends to fix this problem and get CHAPELLE released, or should we, the people, look at holding her as being complicit in the future when we take John Howard and Alexander Downer and Mick Keelty to trial. And make it clear, folks, tell them that this is what we intend to do, because the information contained within this film has caused we, the people of Australia, to become aware of the immediate need to reinstate the Constitution of our country, and because we have the right to do this, it is what we intend to do. So you need to decide which side you are on right now. Say that to Julia Gillard when you write to her, folks, and ask her straight out whether she stands for Australia or whether she stands for the corporate corruption that put CHAPELLE CORBY in the position that she's in. Because frankly, it's either one or the other. And make a lot of noise about it. Send it to all the radio stations, send it to all the TV stations, send it to everybody you can. Let's flood Australia. Let's flood the offices of politicians. Let's flood the supermarkets, let's flood the towns, flood the shops, and flood the entire country with copies of this DVD. Get it out to everybody that you can. Send it to all the newspapers in your area. Do everything you can to get this information into the hands of every single Australian, because this information can be used not only to secure the immediate release of CHAPELLE CORBY, but it can bring down the criminality that exists within the Australian Federal Police and the Australian Federal Government, which in turn will stop practices such as coal seam gas mining immediately just by default. Once this government and this federal police force are exposed as the criminals that they are, we will finally be able to have some freedom and some justice in this country. And what we're being presented with here is an opportunity to achieve this. And this is one of the most important moments of Australian history. It really is, folks, because now is the time that we can choose to be free, Because with the release of this film and the support of the community, we finally have the means with which to not only save the life of a young woman wrongly incarcerated for a crime she did not commit, but to expose the criminality within government for what it is, and to secure the freedom which is our birthright, and which has been kept from us by those people that we employ to protect us. And folks, even if you're listening to this show in America or in Sweden or in Spain or anywhere you happen to be, you can help with this as well. All you have to do is download a copy of Expendable using one of the methods that I've previously outlined and send it to the UN. Send it to your local council members in your area and tell them you wish to put pressure on the Australian consulate. Send it to your Prime Minister. Send it to anybody you think is in any position of political clout within your country. But send copies to the UN. And folks, everybody should do this. You imagine if the Prime Minister's office gets 1 million copies of this DVD arrive in the mail, all asking Julia Gillard whether she is going to choose to rectify the problem or choose to be held as complicit. Imagine the effect this will have. Imagine if the ABC gets 10 million copies of this DVD sent to them. Imagine if your local newspaper in your area gets 1,000 copies of this DVD. If everybody gets literally swamped with this DVD, if everybody listening to this show sends a DVD to a politician, to a police station, to a radio station, to a television station, to a newspaper, or even all of them, all the newspapers in your area, all the television stations in your area, all the politicians in your area, just go out and burn 20 or 30 copies, folks. I mean, what's it going to cost? 20 or 30 copies. Everybody send off 20 or 30 copies of this DVD. Let's seize this opportunity, folks, because this can bring about some real change. And this can further unite the people of this country to a common cause. Because the common cause that it's uniting us to is government corruption. It's the corruption of the system itself. And that, my friends, is the ultimate problem. That is the problem that causes all of the smaller symptoms down the line, such as coal seam gas mining, such as CHAPELLE CORBY. As important as CHAPELLE CORBY is, she is still a symptom of this corrupt system. But now, because the details surrounding the CHAPELLE CORBY case have been laid out bare for all to see, this information can now be used as the weapon the people of Australia need to bring down the corrupt system that currently enslaves us and hold those criminals within the system who support it accountable for their actions. So let's do it, folks. Let's seize the opportunity we're being provided with. And I want you to make this radio show viral as well. Post this radio show everywhere you can. Try to ensure that people can listen to all 4 parts. If you have a YouTube channel where you are able to upload full-length clips, then please, by all means, download all 4 parts of this radio show and re-upload it to your channel, all as one file, or just post links to this show on all the websites and blogs that you can find. Let's get this word out to people, and let's make a difference. Because I believe 2012 is our year, folks. This is the year human consciousness can indeed shift. But we have to participate in that shift. And if you're in a state of love, if you are in your heart and you wish to improve reality by your presence in it, then this case, the case of CHAPELLE CORBY, is providing you the opportunity to do so, the opportunity to walk your talk. And we can make a difference with this, but we have to embrace the opportunity, folks. So let's all get on board and get this information out to people. Be calm, be nice, be polite, but just get the information out to people and don't stop. Let's start doing it and let's continue until the job is done. And just think what we could achieve with this, folks. There are so many people that are held in jail that are innocent of any crime. There are so many people wrongly incarcerated. There's Martin Bryant sitting and rotting in a jail in Tasmania or Melbourne or somewhere for a crime that it can be proven he didn't commit. Even when one begins to look at the facts surrounding the CHAPELLE CORBY case, and then it begins to sink in that this is the same government that was in power during the Port Arthur massacre and which used that massacre to disarm the Australian people, bells should start going off in people's heads just when they realise the depth of the corruption that existed within the Howard regime and that still exists within this entire government system. And we've got the same federal police force in power, folks. They haven't gone anywhere. So there's undoubtedly still drugs being run through the airports, and they're probably still using your luggage to do so. So what do you say, folks? Peaceful non-compliance and a demand that the Constitution of this country be reinstated in its fullest of power, a demand that immediate action is undertaken by the Australian government to secure the release of CHAPELLE CORBY, a demand that John Howard, all the government ministers involved, and Mick Keelty and all of the federal police officers involved in the CHAPELLE CORBY case all be brought to trial, and that proper, natural law and real justice be established in this country. We the people have the power to do so through the Constitution that was granted to us by our founding fathers. We have a great Constitution, folks. Our founding fathers really prepared for this very type of incident, and they made sure that we the people of this country retain the ultimate power in this country. So we have the legal right to hold our government accountable for its actions, and it's high time we did so, because if we don't, our children are not going to have a country. The onus lies on us, and the time for us to take the matter in hand is now. We don't need any violence, we don't need any revolution, we don't need any marches in the streets. We simply need a united act of solidarity, and we need to stand up for freedom as one voice. And we have to do it now, folks, because as I said, if we don't, then there will be no freedom for our children or for our grandchildren. And it has to be done now because we are fast running out of time with which to address the matter. Because very soon, folks, if things go on the way they are, we will not have the ability to do so. More and more ridiculous pieces of legislation are being foisted upon the people. More and more police are being employed every day. They are becoming increasingly violent. And very soon, the Australian culture will be squashed into a little box and will not dare look outside the louvers after night falls. And folks, night is soon to fall over this entire country if the people don't stand up and do something about it. There are times that appear periodically throughout history that become moments of significant change. We look back at these moments and we imagine what tumultuous times they may have been. But we often fail to look around us and see that the times we live in are also part of history, and that the time we are currently in right now is in fact one of the most significant moments that the human species has ever experienced. Because we are currently at the moment when real change can come about, but it can only come about through the participation of the people. There are many people waiting to ascend, waiting for the world to change in 2012. And the world can indeed change this year, but it can only change with the participation of the people. I know I've said this to you many times before, but this is the moment, folks. This is the year, this is the day, and this is the hour that it can happen. If everybody out there who listens to this show today spreads this show and does the things that I've suggested in this show and works as hard as they can to bring this information to the general public, we can quite literally cause a groundswell within this country that could effectively send a shockwave around the entire world. We have the means with which to do it. All we need now is the will. And that's it, folks. So the question is, what will you do? Will you choose to be a part of this great moment? Or will you choose to go back to your television? Will you see the opportunity that's being presented to us, and will you act upon this information? Just think, folks, you can be part of history. And this really is a historical moment, because we can create a shockwave of human freedom such as the world has never seen in its entire history. We can create it from this country. We have the means to do so. All we have to do is to stand up and do it, peacefully and firmly. I mean, there is enough information out there now that we could unite this entire community. All the information's there, folks. Just look at coal seam gas. Just look at this CHAPELLE-CORBY case. Just look at everything. They're issuing fines for everything. They're introducing body scanners that permanently damage your DNA. You're introducing GMO food that permanently damages your biology. They are doing everything they can to destroy this country and to cast the people within this country on the trash heap.